Revealed, a mother's prenup turns life-changing when her daughter's hidden billionaire love shines. Maggie didn't know how one small piece of paper could change everything. As she unrolled the yellowing edges of the prenup, her heart raced with a mix of betrayal and curiosity. Just a simple bakery manager in a small American town, she suddenly found herself at the intersection of two worlds: the humble life she'd built with her precocious daughter, Lily, and the affluent society that shunned them both. The past echoed through the quaint walls of the bakery, where flour danced in the air and warmth radiated from the ovens. Every day was a grind, but Maggie held on to the values her mother had instilled in her: resilience, hard work, and integrity. One glance at Lily's bright eyes made the long hours bearable. The bakery wasn't just a job, it was a hub of warmth where neighbors exchanged stories and baked goods. The community wrapped around them like a thick, comforting blanket, making it hard for Maggie to imagine life any other way. This afternoon was no different as Maggie prepared for the charity bake sale meant to support the local school. She stirred the batter carefully, listening to Lily giggle with friends in the corner. The sweet scent of vanilla filled the air, but hidden within the faded text of the prenup was something far more substantial than mere baking ingredients. It hinted at ties to a wealthy family from the nearby city, a web that could ensnare Maggie if she wasn't careful. Her fingers trembled as she turned each page, feeling like a ghost haunting her own past. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Just then, the door chimed as Jake stepped in, shaking off winter before the warmth hit him. He was the heir to that fortune, fresh out of a lavish life filled with expectations he could no longer bear. Their eyes met, and in that instant, the weight of their struggles seemed to dissolve. Conversations flowed easily, intertwining their dreams and fears as the bustling bakery faded away into the background. But whispers followed, hesitant glances soon revealing the town's curiosity. As Maggie grappled with the pull to a world of wealth she'd long rejected, Jake felt the tug to conform to family loyalties. The laughter faded, replaced with tension. Their connection began to fray at the edges, and Maggie's heart broke under the pressure of pride and insecurity. She resolved to remain strong for Lily's sake, if not her own, yet as the bakery brimmed with hope and newfound courage, Maggie soared back into her community's embrace. Love, honesty, and perseverance blended together, clearing her path until a revelation loomed, shattering the fragile peace. As she stood on the verge of accepting something beautiful, the shadows of secrets loomed large. Would she risk everything: her heart, her daughter's happiness, for a chance at a future with Jake? The answer felt as distant as the wealthy family she never really knew. Standing at that precipice, Maggie pondered: could love truly conquer the chasm separating their worlds, or would their bond crumble under the weight of hidden truths? Maggie stood with the prenup crumpled in her palm, the specter of her past folding into the weight of the present. The vibrant laughter of Lily and her friends dripped like honey around her, soothing yet taunting. This was her life, the life she fought for day in and day out, where every cupcake and cookie forged connections, yet here was proof of a legacy she had tried to outrun. "Mom! Look!" Lily waved from the corner of the bakery, her face beaming with the innocence of childhood. In her small hands was a cupcake, expertly decorated with rainbow sprinkles. "I made this for you." For a brief moment, the weight of obligations and expectations faded. Maggie crouched to meet her daughter's excited gaze and enveloped her in a hug, absorbing the warm scent of sugar and pure joy. "It's beautiful, sweet pea." But could her love withstand the storm that was brewing? As Maggie entered the back room, the laughter faded into muffled echoes, the reality of her connection with Jake crashing down like waves against a rocky shore. Would he still want her if he uncovered the truth she tried to keep hidden? The prenup, she realized, wasn't he just a relic, it was a tether pulling her into the life she feared. As the evening progressed, the bake sale buzzed with energy. Friends and neighbors filled the bakery, praising Lily's cupcake designs while exchanging gossip and laughter. Maggie put on a brave smile and chatted about the goals for the charity. Yet beneath that facade, she was wrestling with fear. Every time she saw Jake talking to another local, a knot tightened in her stomach. The quilt that was her community felt tattered, and she feared it might unravel completely with one wrong move. Jake stepped over to her, his presence both reassuring and electrifying. "Hey, there you are," he said, brushing flour off his jeans. His blue eyes sparkled in the warm glow of the bakery lights. "Can you believe all those cupcakes? Lily's a prodigy." "Yeah," Maggie replied, glancing at her daughter, who was now showing off her creations. "She has something special." But as she met Jake's gaze, excitement wove with uncertainty. "What's wrong?" His voice dropped, concern lacing his words. "You seem off." Maggie swallowed. The reality of assets, expectations, and past mistakes loomed between them like a ghost. "It's just this," she gestured around the bakery. "I want to give Lily everything. But I always feel like I'm letting her down." He moved closer, the space between them shrinking. "You're doing everything right, Maggie. You're making real connections. He hesitated, searching for the right words. "You're the heart of this place." His admiration sparked a flicker of hope, but it was tempered by doubt. What would he think when the truth unraveled? The prenup loomed large in her mind, an anchor dragging her into another world, one she hadn't chosen. In a moment of vulnerability, Maggie reached out. "There's so much I haven't told you, Jake. About myself, about Lily." His expression sharpened, concern deepening. "Maggie, whatever it is, you can trust me." But the rushing wave of doubt crashed into her, threatening to pull her deeper. As she prepared to unveil the hidden threads binding her past, the door swung open. A tall figure stepped in, their expensive coat contrasting sharply with the quaint bakery. Gasps rippled through the crowd as murmurs filled the air. Who had just walked in? Maggie's heart raced, realizing that the world she'd worked so hard to distance herself from had come crashing back in. What did this stranger want? And would it pull her and Jake apart forever? The newcomer glided into the bakery like a shadow, capturing the attention of everyone there. Maggie's breath caught in her throat as she recognized the figure, a familiar face from her past. It was Vanessa, her former college roommate. The last time they'd crossed paths, Vanessa had been catapulted into a world of wealth and privilege, a stark contrast to Maggie's humble life. "Maggie?" Vanessa's voice sliced through the hushed chatter, her tone a mix of surprise and feigned warmth. "Is that really you?" Maggie felt the room shrink, tension curdling in her stomach. "Vanessa," she whispered, searching for composure. The sight of Vanessa stirred memories that were better left buried, things she had spent years trying to forget. "Wow, this must be your little bakery," Vanessa continued, gazing around with a mixture of wistfulness and condescension. "And your daughter, is that her masterpiece over there?" Lily, oblivious to the undercurrents, proudly held up her decorated cupcake. "Mom helped me a lot," she exclaimed, her smile radiant. "Maggie, you're really doing it," Vanessa chirped, though her eyes flickered with something murky. "I've been so curious about how you've been. We should catch up." Jake, sensing the sudden shift, stepped closer, protectively leaning toward Maggie. "Do you two know each other?" he asked, firm yet polite. "Old college friends," Maggie replied, her voice brittle. She felt Jake's gaze on her, the unspoken question in his eyes. What was the significance of this woman? Vanessa's smile widened, but there was an edge to it. "Oh, you have no idea." Maggie was such a dreamer. She thought she could build a life like mine. "But we all have our paths, right?" Maggie tried to ignore the way the word stung like salt in an open wound. She felt Jake shift slightly, his discomfort culminating in a protective stance. "She's done amazing things here," he interjected, his voice steady. "Maggie, tell me about your little bakery," Vanessa continued, her tone almost condescending. "I'd love to hear how it compares to all the amazing places I've been. You know, I just wrapped up a charity gala at the Hilton last weekend. A bit different from selling cupcakes." The laughter of the other patrons suddenly felt distant. Maggie forced a smile, struggling to maintain her poise. "It's not just about the cupcakes, it's the connections we create, the community." Right, Vanessa replied, raising an eyebrow. "Community. It's cute, really." Maggie could feel the heat creeping up her neck. Yet amid the bitterness, another emotion pressed against her thoughts. Fear for what Vanessa might reveal hung heavy in the air. If details of her family's wealth were shared, the secrets she held tightly in the shadows, would that unravel everything she had built with Jake? Just then, Lily walked up with her cupcake and beamed at both women. "Can you make a cupcake like this, too?" she asked innocently, looking up at Vanessa with wide eyes. The tension spun like a web, and Maggie held her breath, fearing the answer. Beneath the chatter and laughter of the bakery, the night shifted, teetering delicately between comfort and chaos. "Maggie?" Jake's voice broke the spell, concern etched on his features. "Are you okay?" The room felt like it was closing in, and Maggie struggled to hold on to her resolve. I just need a moment." She turned slightly, her eyes darting between Jake and Vanessa. What would happen when the truth spilled out? And would her past swallow the future she longed for with Jake? As she took a deep breath, she realized that the storm was far from over. Just as the bakery felt like a sanctuary, it was becoming ground zero for a confrontation she hadn't anticipated. There was no turning back now. But the question was, could she find the strength to face the fallout? Maggie's heart raced. She felt the suffocating weight of the room pressing down on her. Vanessa's laughter danced mockingly in her ears, taunting with an edge that ignited all those old fears. The quiet hum of the bakery had been filled with warmth, but now it felt charged, like the calm before an inevitable storm. Lily stood there, her cupcake proudly held aloft, blissfully unaware of the brewing tempest. Maggie's insides twisted as she forced out a soft, "Yes, Lily made those. And I, helped her decorate." She took a step back, trying to shield her daughter from the situation while keeping a firm grip on her own emotions. "What a delightful little bakery," Vanessa commented, her gaze sweeping the place while her lips curled into a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Just like I remembered, so charming." "But tell me, Maggie, is this truly what you envisioned for yourself?" Maggie swallowed hard, holding tight to the countertop. "More than you know. This isn't just a bakery to me. It's my dream." She could feel her voice falter, but she wouldn't let it break. "Your dream?" Vanessa leaned in, her tone dripping with condescension. "That's rich. You always did have your head in the clouds. I'd love to know how life in your fairy tale compares to all those galas I've been attending. You remember the Hilton, right? A world apart from selling pastries." A blush crept up Maggie's cheeks, but it wasn't just embarrassment, it was anger. How dare Vanessa come into her life like this? How dare she belittle the work that Maggie had poured her heart and soul into? Then she glanced at Jake. His expression mirrored her own frustration, but also a deep-seated concern for her. "Vanessa, it's kind of you to visit," Jake said, his voice calm yet firm. "But perhaps this isn't the best time for a stroll down memory lane." "Oh, but I think it is." Vanessa shot back, an edge of amusement piercing her tone. "You see, I've always been curious about how you managed to keep up with." But before she could finish, Lily piped in, "Mom, can we bake more cupcakes tomorrow? Maybe even a cake?" The sweetness of Lily's question cut through the tension, and a flicker of relief sparkled in Maggie's chest. "Of course, sweetheart. We can make whatever you like." She knelt, wrapping her arms around her daughter, hiding her own turmoil behind the warmth of that embrace. As the moment settled, she finally drew back and looked at Vanessa again. "You don't know anything about the dreams I've fought for, Vanessa. This bakery is built on love and community. It means everything to me." Vanessa's expression hardened for a moment before her smile returned, tightly wound. "Oh, I would never downplay your efforts. I just wonder, how long can you really sustain this lifestyle? With my connections, we could make it big." Maggie recoiled, shaking her head slowly. "I don't want handouts. I've worked hard for everything I have." Lily looked from her mother to Vanessa, sensing the building tension. "Why don't we all bake together?" she suggested, her innocent optimism shining through. But before Maggie could respond, Vanessa's eyes sparkled with something darker. "Maybe you will tell me your real story one day, Maggie. You know, the one that really matters." The statement hung in the air like a thick fog, and in that moment, Maggie felt the ground shift beneath her. She had tucked her past away so neatly, but now it threatened to unravel at the seams. As the shadows lengthened, Maggie knew she had two choices: face Vanessa and whatever secrets lay between them, or let her take back the narrative. Jake took her hand, grounding her, and she felt a spark of strength. But that uncertainty gnawed at her. What was Vanessa really after? Would she expose the truths Maggie had kept hidden? Standing there, with her heart racing and adrenaline pumping, Maggie realized that she would have to confront her past after all. There was no escaping it now. What skeletons would she have to face once she turned the page with Vanessa? Maggie inhaled sharply, the air thick and suffocating, as Vanessa's words lingered like poison in her mind. She watched carefully as her old rival scanned the bakery like it was a museum exhibit, a place filled with her failures rather than her triumphs. Each smile Vanessa offered felt like a calculated move on a chessboard, and Maggie couldn't help but wonder what the end game was. "Lily," she said, pulling her daughter close. "Why don't you take those cupcakes to the back? We'll have a little taste test later. Can you help me check on the frosting?" Lily nodded, oblivious to the tension, and skipped away, cupcake in hand, leaving only the sound of her small footsteps. Maggie felt a rush of bittersweet love, but a quick glance at Jake's worried face ripped that moment of comfort away. Maggie straightened her shoulders, focusing on Vanessa. "What do you really want, Vanessa?" "Oh, Maggie," Vanessa cooed. "What fun is life without a little drama? I'm just here to reminisce. The past still echoes, you know? And it's important to remember where you came from. Is that what this is about? You want to remind me of how far I've fallen?" Maggie shot back, her voice quivering with both anger and hurt. "Maybe," Vanessa replied, tilting her head slightly. "Or maybe I'm just curious about the woman you've become. It's not every day someone trades a front row seat in life for whisking batter." Maggie's chest constricted. The ache of every choice she had made threatened to spill over, and she felt the tight grip of fear in the back of her throat. "This is my life now. My choice. Your choice." Vanessa laughed softly, even as the atmosphere crackled like static. "Is this how you envisioned it? Facing your past in a tiny bakery with an old flame watching your every move?" "Jake is not an old flame." The words came out harsher than intended. For a fleeting moment, Maggie felt the world tilt as she registered Vanessa's probing gaze on Jake. He stepped closer, placing a reassuring hand on her arm. "Maggie. No. I can handle this," she said, shaking her head. "Go help Lily." Vanessa's smile sharpened, her eyes sparkling maliciously. "Oh, I wouldn't want to interrupt such a lovely mother-daughter moment. But just know, it's never too late to change your story. Do you really want Lily to grow up in a fairy tale, or do you want her to embrace reality?" Maggie felt her pulse quicken. It was a sickening blend of desperation and resolve. What would you know about reality? You've been living in a bubble full of wealth and pretense. Touché, Vanessa replied. But wealth can open doors, Maggie. You should consider my offer. We could make a fantastic team. Not in my wildest dreams, Maggie shot back, her heart pounding with the ferocity of her words. As much as Vanessa frustrated her, those whispered temptations clawed at something deep inside, tempting her with visions of escape. Then there was a soft rustle as Lily returned, her small face curious. Mom, who is this lady? Why does she look so mean? Vanessa's expression changed, a flicker of surprise crossing her features. Oh, sweetie, I'm just a friend of your mother's. Just making sure she's okay. The innocence in Lily's voice melted the tension, if only momentarily. Friends help each other. Is that why you're here? To help my mom? Yes. Vanessa began, but Maggie interjected. No. That's not it at all. The weight of Lily's innocent gaze, filled with unquestioning trust, made Maggie realize something crucial. She had to protect her daughter's dreams, shield her from the truths of her past. In that moment, she drew closer to her daughter, their bond unbreakable. Lily, let us get back to work on those cupcakes. We have a lot more baking to do. What flavor? Lily asked, her excitement rekindling the warmth in the room. Maggie paused, glancing over at Vanessa. But in that stolen glance, Maggie felt a new fire ignite inside her. She couldn't let Vanessa dictate her life or her daughter's, the past would not rewrite her story. As they settled back into their rhythm, Vanessa's laughter faded into the background. But the doubt remained heavy in the air, a question begging for an answer. How would Maggie prepare for the storm that was about to break? And was she strong enough to stand her ground against the shadows of her past? These were the questions racing through her mind as she whisked the batter with renewed determination. How much longer would she be able to keep her secret safe? The smell of vanilla and sugar enveloped Maggie like a comforting blanket as she whipped the frosting with newfound vigor. Each swirl of the whisk echoed her resolve. She would not let Vanessa's visit unravel everything she had worked for. As she concentrated on the task at hand, a familiar warmth spread through her body. This bakery was her haven, her little kingdom where she could create magic from simple ingredients. That space was built on her dreams, and she wasn't about to let anyone take it from her. It smells so good. Lily chimed, squeezing between Maggie's legs, her dough-covered hands reaching out for a taste of the frosting. The distraction brought a soft smile to Maggie's face, reminding her why she fought so hard. Okay, just a little taste. She placed a small dollop on Lily's outstretched hand. As her daughter savored the sweet treat, Maggie caught sight of Vanessa through the bakery window. The woman was still standing across the street, hands resting casually on her hips, an ominous shadow as the sun dipped lower in the sky. For a brief moment, Maggie's heart raced, caught between wanting to confront her and a deeper urge to protect the world she held dear. Let us get these cupcakes decorated, huh? Maggie suggested, urgency driving her tone. They gathered sprinkles and colors, filling the table with delightful chaos. Little did they know, an unseen storm was brewing just outside their little sanctuary. Mom, do you think we'll ever have a cupcake competition like they do on TV? Lily asked, her eyes wide with hope. Maggie paused at the question, contemplating the unkempt dreams she used to hold close. Sweetheart, anything is possible. But we have to make our cupcakes the best they can be first. In her heart, a flicker of uncertainty remained. Could she ever get back to the life where she crafted cakes for crowds? Or was that just a chapter closed for good? Suddenly, a loud chime of the doorbell broke her thoughts. Jake stepped in, shaking off the remnants of drizzle from outside, his brow furrowed with concern. Maggie, can we talk? His tone was serious. He had that look again, the one that made her pulse quicken, the one that signaled more than just friendly chatter. Yeah. Just give me a second. She hurriedly grabbed another cupcake and set it down for Lily, asking her to decorate while she spoke to Jake. Maggie, I overheard some things, Jake began, glancing nervously over his shoulder as if expecting Vanessa to burst back in. People are saying that Vanessa is planning something big. Something that could impact your bakery and not in a good way. Her heart sank but remained steeled. Like what? He hesitated, searching her face for understanding. I think she's trying to undermine you. Maybe even buy the place out from under you. You have to be careful. Maggie inhaled sharply, the air feeling constricted again. Vanessa wasn't merely here to reminisce, she had different designs, plans that could take away everything she had fought to reclaim. Images of her daughter working in this bakery, of family traditions and laughter, flickered behind her eyes, but they felt fragile. Why would she do that? Maggie's voice trembled, a blend of anger and incredulity. Maybe she wants revenge. Jake's words hung heavy between them. You once had everything she thought she deserved. She hasn't forgotten. In that moment, a mixture of protection and fierce love surged through Maggie. She wouldn't let threats, old wounds, or rivalries extinguish the light that shone in her daughter's eyes or dim the sweetness of her bakery. I won't let her take this from us, Maggie declared. The resolve settled deep in her bones. Just then, the door swung open, and Vanessa stepped in, the smile on her lips too wide. I hope I'm not interrupting anything important. The air thickened with tension once more. Maggie straightened, ready to confront the storm brewing just beyond her bakery's sweet facade. Would she stand tall, or would this rivalry consume her? Vanessa, she breathed, heart racing, we have a lot to discuss. And as the weight of their past surged back into the room, Maggie knew that this confrontation would redefine everything and she was ready to fight. Would she reclaim her narrative, or was this the beginning of an end? Vanessa, Maggie repeated, her voice steadying despite the turmoil inside her. The door swung shut behind Vanessa, sealing them in this space filled with memories, both warm and bitter. Do you remember the last time we talked? Vanessa's voice dripped with false sweetness, her eyes glinting like polished steel. It was so fun, wasn't it? Today seems like a good time for another chat. Maggie clenched her fists, fingers digging into her palms. In a gentle but firm tone, she responded, I know why you're really here. Jake told me what you're planning. Oh, did he? Vanessa feigned surprise, but her smirk betrayed her. You really shouldn't take everything he says at face value. He has a knack for exaggeration. Exaggeration? You're trying to take my bakery, my life. That's not a joke. Anger simmered within Maggie, growing hotter by the second. She glanced at Lily, who was innocently arranging sprinkles on a cupcake, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing. Vanessa leaned closer, eyes narrowing. You think this bakery is your shield? You don't know what you're up against, Maggie. You're holding on to a dream that's already fading. I can make you an offer you'd be foolish to refuse. I'm not interested in your offers. Maggie's voice flickered with fierceness, though doubt danced around the edges of her heart. Oh, but you should be, Vanessa pressed, her tone now low and persuasive. Think about it, Maggie. You could have the money to start fresh, maybe even more than you ever imagined. You wouldn't have to struggle day in and day out. Just say yes. Maggie felt disoriented. Just a few moments ago, she was being enveloped in sweetness, her daughter's laughter echoing through the shop, and now reality focused sharply. Vanessa wasn't here merely to chat, she was here to dismantle. I'm not abandoning this place, Maggie asserted, though uncertainty slinked through her thoughts. There was something deeper at play here, an emotional tug-of-war that tested her resolve. Why not? Vanessa shrugged as if the question was trivial. You think this little bakery is going to fulfill your dreams? It keeps you locked in a past you're running from. I, for one, want to thrive in a future where we both get what we want. Maggie felt her heart race, the tension crackling in the air between them. There was a momentary pause, a stillness where time hung heavy before Maggie's decision could be weighed. She inhaled deeply, mustering her courage. "But it's not just about me," she said, glancing again at Lily, who was now focused on sprinkling, her little tongue peeking out in concentration. "It's about her future too." "Ah, the daughter card," Vanessa jested, but there was something searching in her expression. "You think she wants a mother who struggles every day? Think about how much easier life could be for both of you." Maggie held Vanessa's gaze, unyielding. "Lily deserves to know that hard work can lead to something beautiful. Not just handed to her on a silver platter by someone like you. Or she gets a life filled with ease, thanks to me. You're the one standing in the way of that future." They were locked in a battle of wills, each woman pushing against the other's convictions. "Maggie, let us make this simple," Vanessa said, leaning closer, her voice softening. "We can either be allies in this or adversaries. You choose." Maggie felt her mind racing. The stakes were higher than she could have ever expected. Was there room for negotiation, or was this a fight she had to finish? Ally? After everything? Maggie shot back, anger mixing with disbelief. "Life's too short for grudges. Let bygones be bygones," Vanessa replied, an unsettling calmness in her tone. Amidst the chaos, the doorbell chimed again, but Maggie's focus never shifted from Vanessa. She had been shaken, but not broken. The very essence of what she fought for hung in the balance, both fragile and fierce. "Let me think," Maggie finally said, weighing the burden of those words. Just then, Lily's voice piped up from the table, "Mommy, can we bake something fun now?" The innocence of her question was a reminder of why. Maggie couldn't let this rivalry consume her. As Vanessa smiled, a facade that hid something more sinister. Maggie felt a new fire ignite within her. The stakes were high, and the game had just begun. "Let us bake, sweetheart," Maggie replied, determination flooding her chest. "We'll show them what this heart can really do." And outside the bakery's warm glow, dark clouds gathered, heralding a storm that was just beginning to brew. What twists awaited them, and would Maggie's resolve withstand the tempest? The oven hummed softly as the warmth filled the bakery, surrounding them with comfort. Maggie pulled out her ingredients, her mind racing with the tension hanging between her and Vanessa. She could hear the distant rumbles of thunder, mirroring the swirling emotions within her. "It'll be fun, Mommy," Lily exclaimed, her eyes sparkling like they always did when they were about to create something special. Maggie couldn't help but smile, the weight of Vanessa's threats momentarily lightened by her daughter's enthusiasm. "Okay, what do you want to make?" Maggie asked, her heart slowly aligning back to the joyous rhythm of baking. "A chocolate cake. With sprinkles," Lily replied, clapping her tiny hands in delight. Maggie felt a surge of warmth, the chaos of the moment dissolving with each flick of the wrist as she measured flour and cocoa powder. The flour kept flying everywhere, and soon both of them were covered in a delicate dusting. Laughter echoed off the walls, almost drowning out the brewing storm outside. "Maggie?" Vanessa broke the moment, her voice cutting through the laughter like a knife. "Don't you think we have more important things to discuss than cake?" Maggie stood up straight, wiping her hands on her apron. The flour left little white smudges on her jeans, a reminder of the life she was fighting for. "This is important," she said with a firm tone. "This is what matters most right now." Vanessa's expression shifted from amusement to irritation. "You're being short-sighted. This bakery may feel like home, but it can't hold a candle to what I could offer you both. Why is it so hard for you to understand?" Maggie countered, her voice containing a mix of pleading and fierce defiance. "It's not about the money. It's about integrity, and building a life where my daughter learns the value of hard work and passion. And yet," Here you are stuck in a bakery when you could be supporting her with a real future. Vanessa's voice was louder now, frustration bubbling to the surface. Maggie felt Lily tug at her apron, looking back at her, puzzled. "Mommy, is Miss Vanessa going to help us bake?" Maggie gave a gentle smile to her daughter but felt the tension slip back in her chest. "Not that kind of help, sweetheart." With the cake batter now mixed, Maggie poured it into the pans, concentrating on the task at hand. She knew she had to maintain focus, but every so often, she stole a glance at Vanessa. The woman was all jagged edges wrapped in silk, charisma masking ulterior motives. Did Vanessa think she would easily fold? "Here's the truth, Maggie," Vanessa stated, her voice lacking any sweetness now. "You can play the heartstrings all you want, but in the real world, that won't pay the bills. Sooner or later, you'll realize you can't fight forever." Maggie took a deep breath, the smell of fresh chocolate filling the air, grounding her. "You don't get it. I'm not just fighting for myself. I'm fighting for my daughter's understanding of what strength and resilience really look like." For a brief moment, the two women were locked in their own world, a relentless storm brewing fiercely inside them, but Maggie was surprised to see something flicker behind Vanessa's steely eyes. Was it remorse? Just then, the doorbell chimed again, echoing through the bakery. A figure stepped in, drenched from the rain, sending an ominous chill through the air. Visibility in the room shifted as the door swung closed behind him, blocking the light from outside. Maggie felt a strange twist in her gut, suddenly aware of the weight of unspoken words. Who was this new arrival? And what further chaos would they bring with them? The uncertainty loomed heavy, and she couldn't shake the feeling that this moment could change everything. What kind of alliances would form or break as the storm raged outside? The figure stood still for a moment, surveying the bakery as though assessing its worth. A tall man, his damp hair clinging to his forehead, he looked like he had stepped straight out of a desperate scene from a movie. Maggie's heart raced. The tension in the room snapped tighter, and a flicker of apprehension crossed Vanessa's face. "Can I help you?" Maggie asked, trying to keep her tone steady, not wanting to alarm Lily. The man shifted his weight, revealing a kind expression underneath the confusion of rain-soaked clothes. "I'm sorry to barge in like this," he said, his voice calming despite the turmoil swirling around them. "I was hoping to find shelter, and maybe a warm drink?" Maggie nodded, despite the unease that still gripped her. "Of course, come in. Just do you want to shake off the water first?" The stranger smiled, and it sent a ripple of warmth through her. There was something comforting about it, and for a brief moment, it felt like a reprieve from all the mounting chaos. Lily, oblivious to the heightened tensions, bounced on her toes. "Can you help us bake a cake?" she chirped, her little voice sweet and innocent, a stark contrast to the angst hanging in the air. "Cake? Now that sounds like a plan," the man replied, amusement dancing in his eyes. He walked over, dripping onto the floor, as he tucked a stray lock of hair behind his ear. Maggie quickly turned back to the counter, mentally shaking away any distractions. She focused on the cake, listening as the stranger chatted amiably with her daughter about sprinkles and frosting. It was as if Lily's joy was a tether, pulling them all into a lighter atmosphere, even if just temporarily. "Vanessa," she said, trying to bring the conversation back to the surface. "What do you need?" Vanessa crossed her arms and gave the newcomer a long look, clearly sizing him up. "Are you here for something specific?" His brow furrowed slightly, but he kept a soft expression. "Only for shelter from the storm and hopefully some good company." "Company, huh?" Vanessa scoffed, sarcasm lacing her words. "Don't you have better places to be?" Maggie felt a rush of annoyance wash over her. Why was Vanessa provoking tension when the man seemed harmless? "Maybe it's not so bad to have someone around," she interjected, wiping her hands on her apron. "We could all use a little light right now. I could make you a cup of coffee while we wait for the rain to calm down." The man nodded appreciatively. "That would be great, thank you." As she prepared the coffee, Maggie sneaked glances back at the two. Vanessa's demeanor had shifted. Every minute spent in the bakery seemed to ignite a defiance within her, her world of certainty cracking. What did she see in this stranger? Fear? Competition? The possibilities flickered across Maggie's mind. "Do you have children?" Lily asked, swinging her legs as she perched on a stool beside the man. He chuckled softly. "Not yet, but I love kids. People like you keep the world bright." Maggie smiled, warmth creeping over her heart as she overheard their small exchange. It was a reminder of the innocence that children brought into even the most complex of situations, but as she turned back to pour the steaming coffee, she caught sight of Vanessa's sharp gaze fixed on the man. Something about the way she viewed him sent a shiver down Maggie's spine. It was possessive, the kind that ignited unease in Maggie's gut. "Maybe we should get back to," Maggie started, but before she could finish, there was a loud clap of thunder, shaking the windows. A moment's silence followed before the lights flickered violently, plunging them into darkness. Lily let out a small whimper, and Maggie immediately grabbed her daughter's hand, giving it a reassuring squeeze. The bakery was filled with a tense silence broken only by the sound of rain hammering against the glass. "Don't worry, I'm here," the man said gently, his voice cutting through the anxiety like a warm knife through butter, and as the storm raged outside, Maggie could feel a storm brewing between them all. Who was this man really? And in the shadows of this chaos, what secrets were about to unravel? The darkness swirled like a heavy blanket, wrapping the bakery in an unsettling quiet. Thunder rumbled deeply outside, the kind of sound that reverberated through the very marrow of a person's bones. Maggie's heart raced as she held Lily close, the warmth of her daughter grounding her through the uncertainty. The man's reassuring voice cut through the tension, a beam of hope in their dim world. "Don't worry, I'm here," he repeated, and somehow, Maggie found comfort in hearing that. It wasn't just the promise of safety, but the way it hinted at understanding, perhaps even shared strength. Just then the lights flickered back on, casting a soft glow throughout the bakery once more. Maggie blinked, glancing at the newcomer. "I don't think we've properly introduced ourselves," she said, her voice steadying. "I'm Maggie, and this is my daughter, Lily." "Pleasure's all mine," the man said, his demeanor relaxing. "I'm Chris. Just passing through." He smiled, and somehow, it felt disarming, almost like a welcome respite from the storm brewing outside and inside. Vanessa's sharp eyes flitted to Chris, suspicion crawling through the corners of her thoughts. "So, sweet little bakery just a pit stop for you, Chris? What brings you here at such an uninviting hour?" "A journey," he replied, an easy smile on his lips, "but, of course, good company makes all the difference." "Oh, here we go with the sweet talk," Vanessa replied, her tone dripping sarcasm. "You sure this isn't just a charade to occupy Maggie's cozy little setup?" Maggie could feel an old anger trying to rise again, but Chris unexpectedly jumped into the mix, bringing an electric charge. "Actually, I think it's pretty impressive here. The smell of fresh cake fills this place. It's got personality." Lily's eyes brightened, catching on to the excitement. "Mommy makes the best cupcakes," she declared proudly, and Maggie felt her heart swell with renewed warmth and pride. "Maggie, you have quite an artist here," Chris said, turning his attention to Lily. "What's your favorite thing to bake?" "Cupcakes. With rainbow sprinkles," Lily exclaimed, her innocent enthusiasm making the air around them lighter. "That sounds amazing. You're gonna teach me how, right?" Chris grinned, and Lily nodded vigorously, instantly enchanted. Maggie couldn't help but smile at the scene unfolding before her. But as she turned back to Vanessa, the tension returned. "Vanessa, if you're here to stir the pot, maybe it's best we avoid each other for tonight." "Oh, I'm just here to make sure our friend gets a full picture of what's at stake," she retorted, her words sharp. "You know, the real world." Chris shifted his stance slightly, his expression growing serious. Maggie clearly loves what she's built here. You attacking her passion speaks more about you than it does about this place, he said firmly, his tone cutting. Maggie felt a swell of gratitude toward Chris, his words bringing a fresh kind of confidence bubbling to the surface. Thanks, Chris. I really appreciate that. As the conversation swelled and the intensity pulled them in different directions, a realization struck Maggie. She wasn't alone in this. Jake and Lily had been footholds in her life for so long, but Chris was here too, adding another layer of support she hadn't anticipated. Vanessa, if you're honestly interested in something other than destruction, I suggest you leave whatever past rivalry we have back where it belongs, Maggie stated, her voice gaining strength. This is my world now, and I choose to build it with love and community at its core. Vanessa's smile faltered, and for a quick moment, sadness and envy flickered in her eyes. You're playing a dangerous game, she warned, but it felt less threatening and more desperate. Maggie inhaled deeply, feeling a rush of fierce clarity. Maybe you're just scared to let go of who you were. But I can't let you rewrite my story with echoes of doubt and fear. I've worked too hard to find my voice. Vanessa laughed lightly, but it sounded hollow. What's the end goal, Maggie? A bakery filled with dreams? Yes. And also happiness. Friendship, and every little moment that brings joy to my life. The words flowed out, pure and filled with emotion. She wouldn't let anyone undermine that. As if magnifying their moment, Chris turned toward her, admiration glimmering in his eyes, a slice of warmth in the surrounding storm. That's the spirit. You've created something magical here. You didn't just build a bakery, you created a safe haven. Lily, drawing strength from the intensity around her, piped up, and a place where we can make cupcakes forever. Yes. Maggie exclaimed, laughter bubbling from her pure and contagious. The shadows of Vanessa and the power struggles began to leave her heart and mind, filling them with the light of unconditional love and the bond they shared. In that moment, everything shifted. The world outside continued to rage, but within these walls stood affection, unyielding solidarity, and the laughter of a child, echoing like a distant promise of better days. Let us embrace this, Chris said, offering his hand to both Maggie and Lily. Maggie felt Lily's tiny fingers wrapped around hers as they joined Chris. The warmth spread through her chest, igniting a fierce light that would not be snuffed out. Side by side, they stood together with a fervent hope. It wasn't just about defending her bakery or protecting her past, this was about forging a new future, one cupcake at a time, and with Vanessa's figure now blurred in the background, Maggie understood that strength isn't just facing opposition, it's allowing love to fuel the fire burning within. This is my life, she said fiercely, looking confidently at Vanessa, and nothing or no one is going to take that away from me. The establishment may have seemed fragile, the storms outside relentless, but Maggie had found her purpose in the chaos, and in that moment, she knew she was truly ready to face whatever storm lay ahead. Now, it's your turn to light that fire. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories, leave a like now to feed the algorithm, because your support matters, comment your reactions and feelings about this transformation, share instantly this video with 5 friends who need to see this incredible journey. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of backing the channel through these actions.